Hi everybody, we're still in lockdown here in the UK, but things are starting to get better and we are hoping that there will be an easing of lockdown rules very soon. And I hope that it's basically the same where you are and we'll soon all get out of this awful pandemic. But anyway, welcome to the third edition of 2 Solo News. In this episode and other future episodes, I'm going to talk about the equipment that I'll be taking with me on my around the world flight. This week, I'm going to talk to you about my Iridium Go, my Iridium phones, and how important Iridium is to the safety of my flight as well as communications. I will also talk to you about the other devices that rely on Iridium satellites, like my all-important Spidertracks Spider X, which is my real-time flight following satellite tracker. But you're probably asking, why am I using Iridium and what is it? Well, that's easy. It's the world's most powerful satellite communications network, the only network with truly global reach, a network that connects the whole world with no gaps. That's like no gaps at all anywhere. Iridium's network is everywhere from pole to pole, on the ground, in the air. Iridium provides me with operational connectivity as well as critical safety services and in-flight communications. Let me elaborate. I want to tell you what Iridium does and how it became to be such a vital tool, not just for aviation, but for maritime and land users, and, well, even in space with the space station. So, Iridium actually set out to provide complete global coverage, and original calculations showed that we need probably around 77 satellites would be needed, and hence the name Iridium, after the name metal with the atomic number 77. I know that that also went over my head too. But however, during the design process, it was later determined that only 66 satellites were needed, or what space geeks would call operational space vehicles. But at this point, you know, I would have thought that they would just change the name from whatever 66 is on the periodic table from Iridium, but that probably didn't sound right. So, but I digress. The first generation of Iridium satellites were deployed between 1997 and 2002, with the first telephone call made over the network in 1998. And full global coverage was achieved after the last satellites were launched into their orbital slots, 500 miles above the surface of the Earth, all travelling at a pretty blinding speed of 18,000 miles per hour. Now, after nearly 20 years of operation, Iridium Communications updated their network with the next generation of Iridium satellites, appropriately called Iridium Next, which began being deployed in 2017. Iridium repeated what they did 20 years ago by launching a brand new capability, faster data speeds, high quality voice, and a bunch of other improvements, but keeping the same 66 low Earth orbit satellite architecture, and of course the essential complete global coverage. Iridium Next, and still is, the world's largest commercial satellite space project ever, and it's ever undertaken to date as well. With the help of Elon Musk and his SpaceX venture, these new Iridium satellites launched into low Earth orbit using the SpaceX Falcon 9.
The Iridium Next constellation is the most ambitious, innovative thing in space communications that is going to happen anytime this decade. Iridium is really a company that has changed the paradigm in space communications and is going to continue doing that with the Iridium Next constellation.
The 8 launches between January 2017 and 2019 completed the constellation and allowed Iridium to go live with their joint venture Iridium to bring a new era of aviation traffic control, allowing space-based ADS-B, which replaces radar as a primary surveillance method. ADS-B stands for Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast, for those of you like me who had to look it up a couple of years back. Prior to the launch of ADS-B in 2017, about 70% of the world's airspace had no surveillance coverage. So this meant back when Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 disappeared into the ocean with 239 people on board in 2014, the ADS-B system was not yet in place, and Iridium and Iridium now provide real-time tracking that prevents such incidents by pinpointing the exact spot to the emergency services. ADS-B is now mandated on all larger aircraft and helicopters and aircraft in the US. But even my aircraft will have ADS-B. So I'll be visible to Iridium and air traffic management 100% of the time in places where there are no radar or other terrestrial coverage. That's a lot of the planet, by the way. But historically, air traffic controllers have had to rely on visual position reports, flight plans, and estimated locations to track aircraft with line of sight limitations of radar ground-based surveillance, which were affected by mountains, oceans, and low flying altitude with the curvature of the Earth. But thanks to Iridium and the Iridium constellation, aviation has now 100% air traffic surveillance system, delivering real-time aircraft position reports in every region of the world using ADS-B. ADS-B allows air traffic controllers and other aircraft to accurately see where aircrafts are within super fast precision and previously invisible positions, making the sky a much safer place for everyone. So this is how it works. I've got my British Airways A380, which is obviously not a PA-28. I couldn't find a model of a PA-28. But how it works is an aircraft's ADS-B transponder independently transmits its GPS position once every half a second, which is then picked up by the Iridium ADS-B receivers mounted in each Iridium satellite. The ADS-B data is then transferred through the Iridium constellation of satellites orbiting the Earth to the ground for processing. It's then passed to the contracted air traffic management organisation of the country which the aircraft is flying over, and all of this happens in milliseconds. And the benefits that Iridium and Iridium have brought to aviation safety and communications are simply immense, and they provide me and my mum with the comfort of real-time position reports, faster and more precise search and rescue support, as well as regular and easy communication. In fact, the combination of Iridium and Iridium have all but taken the search out of search and rescue. So, what about my Iridium devices? Well, my Iridium Extreme satellite phone allows me to call literally anywhere in the world. It also tracks me too, one of the 5 tracking devices which I will have on my plane. I will also have 2 of these phones, one attached to me at all times and the other attached to my emergency survival pack. They hold the charge very well, so I will be able to top up the charge every week or so. But I also have an Iridium Go in my plane. This is the Iridium data device, as well as allowing me to use my personal iPhone for voice calling and messaging. So that is actually pretty cool, actually, because I can it gives me worldwide blanket coverage for all my data and communications from my iPhone in my plane. I'll be able to send regular texts and messages from numerous devices while flying between locations. But both of these Iridium devices are obviously completely portable and lightweight, and they're also very rugged, water resistant, and because of how small they are, they're so easy to fit inside my aircraft and on a journey like mine, which means I'm always able to reach out to someone knowing with the confidence that these devices are, there are no dead zone signal zones anywhere. So someone always knows where I am at all times. Well, my Spidertracks Spider X device is also a slim, lightweight and easy to fit device that will sit inside my plane and provide automatic real-time aircraft monitoring and emergency SOS alert button right here using the Iridium communications network. Spidertracks, again, like all Iridium based devices, works anywhere in the world. The Spider X is like a mini black box. It has the ability to not only transmit where I am two-way, but also alerts automatically when I take off, land, and exceed a certain rate of descent. This little unit also acts as a virtual FDR, or flight data monitoring system. SpiderWatch is an online service which will allow you to watch me live through the Iridium network, and so I hope you actually track me and follow all my flights as I take them. Some of my flights will be long and lonely, so it'll be great to know that you guys are watching. I know my mum will be. But anyway, that's my show for today. If you have any questions on this show or about any of the items that I have shown and discussed, please message me. I will always respond. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like and, if you haven't already, subscribe. Stay well, be responsible, and see you next week.